Zara and Ryan met one sunny afternoon at a local coffee shop in Seattle. Zara was a cheerful and outgoing artist who filled her days with color and creativity. She loved to paint and often spent her weekends at art fairs, looking for inspiration. Ryan, on the other hand, was a bit more reserved. He worked as a software engineer, spending long hours in front of a computer. Though he was introverted, Ryan had a warm spirit and an amazing sense of humor that often made Zara laugh. Those little moments of joy drew them together. Their first conversation was easy and natural. They talked about their favorite books, and Zara admired Ryan's kindness as he listened thoughtfully. She was drawn to his intelligence, which balanced her carefree nature. Ryan felt captivated by Zara's energy and passion for life. Together, they spent hours sharing their dreams and ideas, creating a strong emotional bond. Over time, they learned how to support each other. Zara admired Ryan's patience when he helped her fix her website, while Ryan found comfort in Zara's encouragement when he felt overwhelmed at work. Their contrasting personalities blended beautifully, providing strength, love, and fun. However, as their relationship deepened, they found themselves facing challenges. Sometimes, Zara's impulsive nature clashed with Ryan's preference for plans and structure, leading to misunderstandings. But despite these differences, their feelings for each other only grew stronger, laying a hopeful groundwork for resolving any future conflicts that might come their way. As time passed, Zara and Ryan began to face their first real struggles. One rainy evening, Zara returned home from an art show feeling particularly excited about her new painting. She rushed into the living room, eager to share her ideas with Ryan. However, when she found him focused on his computer, she felt a wave of disappointment. "Ryan, look at what I created today," she exclaimed, holding up her artwork. But Ryan barely glanced at her. "Hey, that's great, Em. Can we talk about it later?" "I have this project deadline," he replied, not fully realizing how his words affected her. Zara's smile faded. She felt a sense of disconnection. It seemed that Ryan was too busy with work to notice her excitement. This sense of misunderstanding was new for them and hurt more than she had expected. The next day, Zara noticed Ryan's glowing screen lighting up their dinner table while she put her heart into preparing their favorite meal. When she tried to ask him about his day, Ryan responded with short answers. It felt like he was in another world. Zara's inner voice whispered doubts. Was she being too needy? Was Ryan losing interest in her or in their relationship? These thoughts clouded her mind as she tried to engage him in conversation. Despite her efforts, Zara felt a growing emotional distance. She could sense the tension creeping in, but she didn't know how to bridge that gap. With confusion swirling inside her, she took a step back, unsure of what to say or do. Ryan, on the other hand, noticed Zara's quietness. He recognized the change in her usual warmth but could not pinpoint the reason. "Are you okay, Em?" he finally asked, sensing something was off. "Yeah, I'm fine," Zara replied, forcing a smile. But in her heart, she felt anything but fine. She hesitated, teetering on the edge of expressing her feelings. Finally, she found the courage to try again. "I just feel like you're really busy lately. It seems like we don't spend time together anymore," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. Ryan looked surprised. He had no idea that she felt this way. "I thought you understood how important this project is," he responded defensively. Hearing his words, Zara felt her disappointment deepen. "It's not about your work. I'm just saying I miss you," she explained, hoping he would hear the affectionate tone behind her words. As they talked, misunderstanding lingered between them. Ryan was caught off guard by Zara's emotional honesty and fell into self-doubt. Was he neglecting her? Was he a bad partner for focusing on his job? Rather than admitting his fears, Ryan put up a wall, dismissing her concerns. This only made Zara feel more isolated. She sensed Ryan pulling away, which left her heart heavy and filled with worry that their relationship might falter. Each attempt to share their thoughts seemed to go in circles, leading them back to feelings of confusion rather than clarity. They loved each other still, but the earlier simplicity of their connection began to shift into something more complicated. Each small misunderstanding built a silent wall between them, leaving both partners grappling with their own emotions, unsure if they could find a way to reconnect. A few weeks went by, and although Zara and Ryan tried to communicate, the tension lingered like a dark cloud over their heads. Zara often felt a heavy weight of jealousy beginning to surface. One evening, while scrolling through social media, she stumbled upon a picture of Ryan with a coworker, laughing and smiling at a team event. The image made her heart race, not with happiness, but with unease. Why did Ryan never mention this coworker? Was there something more to their friendship? In that moment, doubt washed over her, and the hurt feelings returned. When Ryan came home that night, Zara struggled to hide her feelings. As he walked through the door, he greeted her with a smile. "Hey, Em. How was your day?" But instead of answering, Zara simply sat at the dinner table, stirring her food absent-mindedly. She felt a mixture of emotions colliding within her: anxiety, resentment, and frustration. Ryan noticed her silence. "Are you okay?" he asked, searching her eyes for answers. Zara took a deep breath and chose to speak. "I saw your picture with Rachel from work. You seemed very happy with her," she said, trying to keep her tone calm even though her heart raced. Hearing her words, Ryan sat down suddenly, confusion spreading across his face. "What do you mean?" he asked, uncertain how to respond. "She's just a colleague. We were celebrating finishing a big project." Despite his explanation, Zara felt the familiar feeling of doubt tighten inside her. "You never mentioned her before. How can I know there's nothing more to your friendship?" Her voice trembled, signaling fear. As soon as the words left her lips, they hung between them, thick with unspoken insecurity. Ryan's brow furrowed, and he took a moment to digest her feelings. "Em, I promise there's nothing wrong. You're the one I love," he said firmly, though a hint of frustration underlined his tone. "I wish you'd trust me." Zara felt the sting of his words. Trust was what she struggled with in moments of vulnerability. But instead of retreating, she stood her ground, wanting to express her feelings rather than push them down. "It's just hard sometimes. I want to feel comfortable sharing our lives, but sometimes I feel left out," she admitted, allowing her emotions to slip free. Their words shifted like waves in an ocean, each emotion creating kinetic ripples. Ryan, reflective now, realized that more than his work, it was their emotional connection he had begun to overlook. "I didn't mean to make you feel like that," he said, tone softening. "I guess my focus on work made me lose sight of what really matters." Zara nodded, sensing a small victory within their conversation. All at once, they began wrestling with their internal conflicts, yet aspiration flickered through their tension. They had unleashed deep feelings they had both suppressed. Instead of strolling blindly, their hearts finally opened. "Maybe we both need to talk more about our days, our friendships, and how we feel," Ryan suggested, sensing the growing confidence in her voice, quietly encouraging the bond they had yet to fully explore. Zara felt a surge of relief wash over her, grateful for Ryan's willingness to understand. Slowly, she recognized that tackling her insecurities brought them closer, chipping away at the weight they had both carried for too long. Despite conflicting emotions like jealousy and doubt, they found strength in this moment of open communication. They realized that choosing to share their struggles truly was a step forward, building a foundation for deeper trust. With each heartfelt conversation, their connection became a little clearer, sparking hope for the future as they tried to weather the storm together. One rainy Saturday, the tension that had been building finally erupted. Zara was feeling overwhelmed by doubts that kept swirling in her mind. She sat on the couch, flipping through her sketchbook, but her heart wasn't in her art. Ryan, meanwhile, was absorbed in a video game, lost in faraway worlds. As she watched him, a feeling of loneliness settled in her chest. She wanted to connect with him, but it felt like he was miles away. Finally, with frustration boiling inside her, Zara set down her sketchbook and took a deep breath. "Ryan, can you please put that game down for a moment? We need to talk," she said, trying to keep her tone even. Ryan paused the game, glancing at her with a hint of annoyance. "Can't it wait? I'm almost finished with this level," he replied, his voice sharper than intended. "No, it cannot wait." Zara snapped back, her emotions breaking free. "It feels like our relationship is falling apart, and you don't even seem to care." The words tumbled out before she could catch them, heavy with anguish. Ryan's face changed, surprise followed by frustration. "That's not fair, Em. I do care. I'm just trying to focus on work and my hobbies so I don't fall further behind. You're acting like I don't put any effort into this relationship." He stood up, his voice rising as anger began to simmer. The fight felt wrong, but both of them were too wrapped up in their feelings to see it. Zara felt a surge of hurt. "You know you spend more time on that game than with me. Do you even notice how I feel? I feel invisible sometimes." Tears welled up in her eyes, and with them, a wave of sadness crashed over her. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, frustration mixing with confusion. "What do you want from me?" he finally asked, irritation lacing his tone. "I work hard all week, and all I get is this. You're the one who wants to go to older art shows and stay out late. I'm tired. I thought that was fun for you." Hearing his words cut deeper than she'd expected. Zara felt the weight of his accusations settle on her shoulders. "You never ask. You never take interest unless I drag you along," she replied, voice trembling as hurt morphed into anger. "It feels like you don't truly want to be part of my life." The room filled with silence as they glared at each other, raw emotions hanging in the air. Anger, sadness, and regret clashed within their hearts. Ryan thought of moments that hurt more than healed, when they would be together, yet he felt miles apart. "Maybe I should just stop trying," he exclaimed, throwing his hands in the air. "If it's never good enough, why bother?" Zara's heart sank at his words, a deeper sadness rushing in. "If you want to give up, then maybe you should," she replied, each word tasting bitter in her mouth. "Sometimes it feels like you want to play games more than work on our relationship." Both of them stood frozen in this moment of rage and hurt, the argument spiraling into confusion. Zara regretted saying things that cut so deep, and Ryan felt lost in the storm of emotions that surrounded them. They were each standing on their own islands of pain, watching the walls to their love slowly crumble. For a moment, it felt like everything they had fought for was slipping away, leaving only an uncomfortable quiet where love and understanding used to dwell. Each spoke in anger, and it rang with deep disappointment. How could something seemingly small explode into something so damaging? All they could do was stand on opposite ends, hearts pounding, caught up in emotions too tangled to easily unravel. That night, the air was thick with unresolved feelings as Zara sat alone on their bedroom floor. Tears streamed down her face, and as she rolled her sketches up, she could hardly see through the blur of sadness. In an effort to find comfort, she pulled out her journal. With each stroke of the pen, she let her emotions spill onto the page. "I feel lost," she wrote, "like I'm fighting for a connection that is slipping away. Why can't Ryan see how much his actions affect me? It hurts to feel invisible in our own relationship." As she captured her thoughts, she couldn't shake the realization that they had both drifted apart. She reflected on the moments that craved honesty and tenderness, moments that got buried under frustrations and misunderstandings. While she wrote, her phone buzzed beside her. It was Sarah, her best friend. "Hey Em, I just saw your posts. Is everything okay?" Zara paused for a moment, the fleeting temptation to give a simple yes surfacing. But the weight in her heart was too heavy to hide. "No, it's not," she typed back. "I just had a huge fight with Ryan. I'm scared we might lose each other." Opening up brought a sense of relief, and their conversation unfolded like a lifeline. Sarah listened patiently as Zara poured out her heart. "Sometimes, I wonder if I'm being too demanding," Zara confessed. "I want to share my life, but it feels like he isn't trying hard enough." "Have you told him that?" Sarah replied gently. "A relationship isn't easy. It takes both of you to make it work, and sometimes, talking through hard moments is what you need to rebuild." Zara mulled over her friend's words. Maybe she had been too caught up in her own feelings to see Ryan's perspective. She began to realize she needed to be brave, not just for herself but for them both. Meanwhile, in his own space, Ryan sat at the kitchen table, head in hand, replaying the fight in his mind. He felt the sting of Zara's words echoing within him. "If you want to give up, maybe you should," she had said, and the thought felt unbearable. The deep ache in his chest revealed something profound. He was terrified of losing her. In search of comfort, he pulled out his phone and scrolled through old photos of them, smiling together on adventures and at celebrations. He remembered their laughter and the lightness of early days when everything felt easy. He could see how their journey had become complicated, and he yearned to alleviate that complexity. Sitting in silence, Ryan grasped a blank notebook. As he opened it, he began to write. I need to listen more. I want to hear Zara's needs without shutting down. I don't want our love to fade away, he penned. Writing allowed him to find clarity in the storm swirling around him. He realized that he tended to prioritize work over their relationship, but that was not the way he wanted to live. Through both their calls to friends and their private reflections, waves of emotion began to settle. They both had moments of insight that illuminated the path ahead. They recognized their distinct, yet shared struggles and the impact that their words had on each other. Most importantly, they both understood that without effort and meaningful conversation, they risked losing something precious. With newfound determination, Zara wiped her tears, resolved to find a way to talk to Ryan about everything she felt. Likewise, Ryan resolved to be open, ready to express his emotions more fully. With hearts full of uncertainty, they didn't know how to bridge the gaps yet. However, each recognized that the chance to reconnect was worth every bit of effort. Finally, they could start to imagine a future if they worked through the challenges together. As the days passed after their intense argument, Zara and Ryan both felt a strong desire to change how they engaged with each other. The heaviness lingered in the air, tempting them to retreat back into silence, but deep down, they each knew they had to try harder. One sunny afternoon, Zara found herself wandering through a local bookstore. She picked up a book about communication in relationships, its bright cover promising strategies to build stronger connections. As she flipped through the pages, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe she could read this book and share its insights with Ryan. It would be a way to approach their problems without blaming each other. Later that day, she texted Ryan, asking if they could spend some time together that evening. To her delight, he immediately replied with an enthusiastic, "Yes. I'd love to," and she felt a tremor of excitement ripple through her. When Ryan arrived, Zara took a deep breath. This was her chance to open the door to meaningful communication. "Hey, I found this book about relationships," she began, her voice steady but bright. "I think it might help us understand each other better. Can we read it together?" Ryan looked surprised but intrigued. "Sure, I'd be open to that," he responded, leaning forward slightly. "I think we both need this." As they sat together on the couch, Zara read aloud some sections about expressing feelings and asking for what each partner needed. For the first time in a long while, they were both genuinely engaged with each other, listening intently. "It's okay to share your worries, even if it feels uncomfortable," she read, glancing at Ryan, who was nodding. The discussions that followed were enlightening. They started to share their feelings openly. Ryan spoke about how work had been piling up. "I never meant to make you feel alone, Em. I just got so caught up in everything, I didn't see you there," he admitted, guilt evident in his voice. Zara felt the weight of his honesty, and her heart softened. "I understand. I sometimes feel like you care more about work than us. But learning how to express what I feel has been hard too," she said, revealing her vulnerability. In that moment, warmth filled the room. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, but this time they were born from relief and gratitude for their openness. They both realized how much they needed to communicate while acknowledging their fears without judgment. As they continued dialoguing, Ryan decided to reach out to a friend for some additional advice. "I want to be better for Zara. What can I do to support her more?" His friend encouraged him to listen actively and validate her feelings. These small adjustments felt like big steps forward. Over the next few weeks, they practiced their new communication skills. They set aside time each week to talk about their feelings in a safe space, no distractions, just the two of them. They made an effort to appreciate the little things, from sharing a laugh about a silly moment in their days to planning weekend outings together as they rebuilt their emotional connection. The turning point came one evening as they sat outside under the stars, a blanket wrapped around them. Zara turned to Ryan, her eyes shimmering with emotion. I'm so glad we decided to work on our relationship. It feels like we have a second chance, she said, smiling. Ryan took her hand, squeezing it gently. Me too, Em. I want to fight for us. You're my everything, and I don't want to lose this, he replied, conviction ringing in his words. That night, they didn't just understand the significance of their connection, they began to cherish it in ways they hadn't before. Each small action they took spoke loudly, turning doubt into hope. In their shared resolve to grow, they rediscovered the joy that made them fall in love in the first place, igniting a renewed passion to continue moving forward together. In the weeks that followed their pivotal conversation, Zara and Ryan began to weave changes into the fabric of their relationship. They made a conscious effort to communicate more openly and support each other in their vulnerabilities. It wasn't always easy, but with each conversation, they grew stronger together. One day, Zara decided to surprise Ryan by cooking his favorite meal. As she chopped vegetables in the kitchen, she felt a wave of excitement. She wanted to show him how much she cared. However, midway through cooking, she suddenly worried that it might not turn out well. Doubts crept in. What if he didn't like it? Pushing those thoughts aside, she focused on creating a special atmosphere, lighting candles and playing soft music. When Ryan walked in, the scent of sautéed garlic filled the air. He paused and smiled broadly, his eyes sparkling with surprise. Wow, Em. This looks amazing, he exclaimed, his appreciation washing away her lingering trepidation. They sat down to eat, and in that moment, Zara felt warmth spreading through her heart. Though they had their struggles, they were also capable of these small gestures, reminding them why they fell in love. However, there were moments that tested their resolve. A few days later, Ryan broke a promise he had made to turn off his work emails during dinner. As he checked his phone, Zara felt a familiar twinge of disappointment. She suppressed the urge to react immediately, remembering their commitment to communicate openly. Instead, she took a deep breath. Ryan, she started softly, could we talk about what happened at dinner last night? It felt awkward as she navigated her emotions, but she was steady in her determination. It made me feel like I wasn't truly with you, she confessed, her voice trembling a bit. Ryan looked up, surprised that he hadn't fully realized her feelings. For a moment, he felt defensive. I didn't mean to ignore you. I just had to check something important. In this slightly tense exchange, she watched him struggle with the change he was trying to make. I understand that, Zara replied gently, trying to keep the conversation light. But it's tough for me when it seems like your work comes first. You promised to be present. She wanted him to hear her without feeling judged. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, understanding dawning on him. You're right, he sighed. I need to do better at keeping that promise. They both felt a mix of awkwardness and relief. It wasn't easy to change long-held habits, but they felt determined to work through these challenges together. As the days went by, they continued to nurture their bond. Zara started sharing her artwork with him more, nervous but excited to let him see this side of her. Ryan, the supportive partner, listened carefully, always offering kind and constructive feedback. Those shared moments offered emotional intimacy that was there but often buried. On another occasion, Ryan remembered to include Zara in planning their weekend. He asked, "What do you want to do this Saturday?" "I thought maybe we could go see that art exhibit you've talked about." Zara's eyes sparkled with appreciation. He was making an effort to involve her in things that mattered to her. "Yes. I would love that," she exclaimed, heat blossoming in her cheeks. They both felt a glimpse of hope revitalizing their relationship. Even with the small shifts, their bond began feeling stronger than before. Though there were slips and awkward moments, each misstep became a learning opportunity. They continued diving deeply into understanding themselves and each other, cheering for one another as they forged new paths. Both partners had exciting insights, reinvigorating their love with mutual understanding and commitment. With every conversation and kind gesture, they both realized that love is about growth, and together they could overcome their past difficulties. One warm evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Zara and Ryan found themselves on their small balcony, bathed in the soft golden glow of twilight. A gentle breeze danced around them, carrying the refreshing scent of blooming flowers from the garden below. It was one of those perfect evenings that made everything feel right again, a backdrop that invited connection. After weeks of effort, tension had softened between them. They had grown accustomed to expressing their feelings openly, allowing for more genuine conversations. As they sat side by side with mugs of hot tea, Ryan turned to Zara. "I feel different now, more at ease," he said, the sincerity evident in his eyes. "Learning to listen has changed how I see you and us," he added, giving her a warm smile. Zara beamed. "I feel it too," she replied. "I feel like I can share what's in my heart without worrying we'll end up in a fight." There was a safe space between them now, a cocoon of understanding that had been long overdue. They laughed as they reminisced about their journey together, the misunderstandings, the fights, and the lessons learned. "Do you remember that time we argued over my project?" Ryan asked, a glimmer of humor brightening his face. "And I went to bed without saying sorry?" Zara chuckled, nodding. "Yes, and I stayed up late writing in my journal about how frustrating it felt," she said between giggles, the tension in the memory fading to warmth. Their laughter floated into the warm evening air, free and light, like balloons released into the sky. As they bonded over shared memories, Ryan took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. "I used to think I needed to hide my feelings to be strong," he confessed, his voice steady. "But now, I understand that sharing them makes me stronger, especially with you." Zara felt her heart swell. These were the words she'd longed to hear, words that promised growth and warmth. Zara then took a deep breath, wanting to express her gratitude. "Thank you for being patient with me. I know my worries can be overwhelming." This vulnerability hung heavily between them, but it no longer felt daunting. Instead, it felt liberating. Ryan touched her hand gently. "You're allowed to worry. I get it now. What matters is that we talk about it. It took me a while to realize, but I'm glad we're here, closer than before," he responded, honesty shining in his gaze. In that moment, they saw the light in each other's eyes, a spark of knowing that their connection was intact and flourishing. As the conversation continued, their senses heightened, each feeling of joy magnified with every smile shared between them. There were no hidden agendas or unspoken fears, only openness and kindness bloomed like the flowers in the garden below. Later, they ventured into deeper topics, sharing their dreams for the future. Zara spoke of her desire to host art shows someday, and Ryan encouraged her, whispering compliments about her talent that made her blush. Every shared goal felt like another brick building a sturdy foundation of their bond. They discussed simple daily rituals, such as the intention to spend more time without distractions. "Let's make it a habit to have dinner together at the table each night," Ryan suggested, an inviting twinkle in his eyes. "Yes. I'd love that," Zara replied excitedly. They were both filled with a giddy excitement for their future, knowing they could face anything together. As they leaned into each other, basking under the fading light of the evening, they knew a real transformation had occurred in their relationship. In learning to communicate their thoughts and feelings positively and openly, they forged a deeper connection. They began to see each other simply as partners in life, hand in hand, able to triumph over challenges with the strength of their shared love. Weeks turned into months as Zara and Ryan continued to nurture their relationship. Their commitment to open communication blossomed daily, and both felt more confident in their roles as partners. They embraced their emotional journey together, learning the art of vulnerability while celebrating their individual strengths. One sunny Saturday morning, they decided to set off on an adventure. Zara had discovered an art fair happening at a local park, and her excitement was palpable. During their breakfast, as they discussed going to the fair, Ryan sensed the spark in her eyes. He wanted to make this outing special for them both, to celebrate how far they had come. "Let's make this a day just for us," Ryan suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. "We can walk around, enjoy the art, and maybe even get a little lost." Zara smiled brightly as she looked at him. "I love that idea. It will be so nice to enjoy a day together." They both appreciated how their changes in communication allowed for deeper levels of appreciation and excitement. When they arrived at the vibrant art fair, the park was filled with life. Colorful stalls lined the pathways, showcasing local artists' work. Zara's heart raced with joy as she eagerly pointed out pieces that caught her eye. "Look at that painting. It reminds me of the ocean, she said, practically bouncing with delight. Ryan admired her passion. You have a gift for noticing beauty, he said, making her blush with pleasure. Zara felt grateful for Ryan's support and encouragement, two things that motivated her to explore her artistic endeavors once again. After sharing laughter and moving from booth to booth, they stumbled upon a stall with a stunning piece of artwork, a painting of two intertwined trees reaching for the sky. The colors were vibrant, graceful, and full of life. Ryan turned to Zara, his expression serious with purpose. What do you think? It's beautiful, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They look so connected. That's how I feel about us, Ryan said softly, his eyes meeting hers with warmth and sincerity. We've grown through our challenges and faced our struggles together. I want us to always be connected, just like these trees. Touched by his words, Zara felt her heart swell with love. I feel the same way, she admitted. This moment symbolized their journey together, two people, strong and unified, ready to embrace whatever life would throw their way. As they moved away from the stall, Zara was surprised when Ryan stopped, picked up a print of the painting they had just seen, and turned to her. I want to get this for us. It will remind us of how far we've come. Yes. I would love that. It's a perfect symbol of our growth, she exclaimed, smiling widely. At that moment, she felt a sense of gratitude enveloping her. They had not only triumphed over their past struggles but had transformed them into opportunities for growth. Later that day, as they returned home, they carefully placed the new piece of art in their living room, proud reminders of their love. It felt like an emblem of their journey, the strength they built together, the empathy they learned, and the resilience they fostered. Now, they faced the future not just as partners but as a stronger little family. Each step they took was filled with optimism. They had evolved individually and as a couple, guiding each other through life with deepened understanding and trust. They took comfort knowing that when challenges arose, they could tackle them together. As they settled on the couch, reflections of the day danced in their minds. Ryan reached for Zara's hand, intertwining their fingers, affirming that he was there to support her no matter what. Let's keep working on this together, he proposed, his eyes lit with hope. I'd love to, Ryan. Together, we can take on anything, she replied, her heart full. In their hearts, they understood this journey was ongoing, but they were ready for whatever lay ahead, grounded in love, strength, and hope.